Well, it's that time again. I'm back in Colorado because it's June and the trails are opening and the weather is perfect. I love coming out here, and every time I come out here, I show you video of trails that are absolutely frightening. Trails where there isn't very much room for forgiveness. But I very rarely show you roads that are the same, if not worse. Like this one right here. It's called the $1 Million Highway, and it could be one of the most dangerous roads in North America. But it brings you to some of the most amazing places in North America. So I'm going to show you what this road looks like from pretty much every angle to save you the trip. Or if you're taking the trip, I'm going to give you a heads up along the way. So if you want to see this video, you're going to want to sit back, you're going to want to relax, and you're going to want to check this out. Okay, before we start this, I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button and also hit the little notification bell so you are notified when all new videos go live. Here we go. So usually on this channel, I focus on trails, off-road trails from the East Coast to the West Coast, north to south. The more dangerous, the more difficult, the better. It's what I love to do. But in this particular video, we're going to focus on a road, a highway that Popular Science, USA Today, and Road Crazed magazine have all consistently listed as one of the most dangerous roads in the world. And we're talking the $1 Million Highway. But I'm not going to just talk about the $1 Million Highway. I'm going to bring you down the $1 Million Highway, and I'm also going to show you what lies at the other end, which is the town of Silverton. And I'm going to give you the history on that as well. So you're going to want to buckle up and check this out because this is going to be one hell of a ride. So the $1 Million Highway is located in the San Juan mountain range, and it runs from OURAY, Colorado to Silverton, Colorado. Or Silverton, Colorado to OURAY, Colorado. It depends which way you're coming. But it's about 24.5 miles. I don't know why that says kilometers. It's about 25 miles. According to Out There, Colorado, links will be below, the $1 Million Highway was originally built as a narrow wagon road in 1882 by two men, Otto Mears and Fred Walson. The road cost approximately $10,000 per square mile at the time. That's about $250,000 adjusted for inflation. To make up for this extreme cost, the road initially had a toll, $5 for a wagon, $1 for a cattle head, and that's $125 and $25 in today's money. That might seem expensive, but keep in mind, there was a booming mining industry in the area at this time, and the road connected OURAY to the mining town of Silverton, allowing a means of transportation that helped make a silver boom from 1882 to 1893 possible. The road was then paved in the 1920s. The name, the $1 Million Highway. There's a bit of debate on the name itself. According to the locals, the name is the $1 Million Highway because people said, you could pay me $1 million and I still wouldn't take that highway. And other people said, because of the amount of money it cost, $10,000 per square mile back in the old days, that it was the most expensive highway there was. But maybe, just maybe, everyone was looking ahead and didn't realize that gas prices would probably be so high that it would actually cost you $1 million to drive from Boston to Colorado to make this video. But who knows? It's all up for debate. But it's utterly amazing. This is a beautiful, beautiful piece of America right here. The only downside of driving this particular road is you need to keep your eyes on the road, straight up. Guardrails are few and far between. Because so much snowfall lands on this highway, they can't have guardrails because they need to push the snow over. But if you do look to the left and right, this road not only brings you from OURAY to Silverton, all over this road there's branches that go to Ophir Pass, that go to campgrounds, that go to all sorts of national parks, and the remnants of mining towns are absolutely everywhere. And then there's the view. Everywhere you look, if you love mountains and everything associated with mountains, the San Juan Mountains are pretty much second to none, in my opinion. For instance, from the road, I spotted a cave. Now there's caves and mine shafts everywhere, but they're usually blocked up. But this one looked promising. So once again, like a bear just coming out of hibernation, I ambled up in a pair of flip-flops and shorts and decided to investigate. There were all sorts of red flags, but I still had to go and poke around in there and see what I could find out. The entire front of the cave, or the entrance of the cave, was blocked by a large block of snow because it's early June, which means there's plenty of snow up on the mountain, and I'm at about 9,500 feet right now. The colors inside the cave were absolutely breathtaking, and from my vantage point, I couldn't tell if it ended or if it just kept going. But I still had to get over this large amount of snow in my sandals to see what was going on. So, everything about this cave told me something horrible was going to happen. But I couldn't stop myself. I never stop myself. I need a manager or a butler or a parental figure with me to tell me, don't go in there, something bad's gonna happen. Even when I put my hand on the wall and the wall simply caves in, what could possibly go wrong? Let me try to get over this iceberg that's blocking the entrance of the cave, because I gotta go in there. That's it. So that was it indeed. As you can see, this snowpack was rather tall. It was up to my chin. So I had to climb over it, or fall over it, into the water, only to discover the cave only went in about 10 feet. But I promise you, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, I'm going to get epic footage of bats coming out of a cave. I don't know where I'm going to find it, but I'm going to find one. I'm on it. But enough of my cave spelunking. Back to the $1 Million Highway. Yeah, I didn't forget. Otto Mears is the man responsible for the $1 Million Highway. Born in 1840 and dying in 1931, he was a Colorado businessman who played a key role in the removal of the Ute people.
You say Utes?
Yeah, 2 Utes.
What is a Ute?
and he is best known for building more than 450 miles of toll roads and railroads on the Utes, former lands in southern and southwestern parts of the state. Called the Pathfinder of the San Juans, Mears established the routes that became the basis for much of our region's highway system, including the famed $1 Million Highway between OURAY and Silverton. And a grateful people erected this stone in memory of Otto, because prior to him, this is what the road looked like. It was no joke whatsoever at all. The stone memorial erected in honor of Otto Mears is located right at a bridge where this amazing waterfall is. And you can't miss it. It's a pullover spot on a hairpin turn. But it's an absolutely beautiful, breathtaking waterfall. And when it's wet, there's a lot of waterfalls. And speaking of waterfalls, avalanches. On this road alone, this 24-mile road, there's almost 100 slopes that are notorious for avalanches. And you'll see bridges or newer man-made structures that try to prevent avalanches from taking people out when they're traveling on the highway. But unfortunately, over the years, it's happened. As a matter of fact, a reverend and his 2 daughters were swept away, and there's a memorial to Reverend Marvin Hudson and his daughters Amelia and Pauline, who were swept away to their deaths 1,000 feet north of this marker I'm showing you in the East Riverside Slide Sunday, March 3rd in 1963, while answering the call to Christian duty of his pastorate in Silverton, Colorado. There's also a memorial there for Edgar A. Vargas, who went off the road to his death. And the final stone is for 3 Colorado Department of Transportation workers killed in the line of duty. As previously mentioned, as far as I can find, no Department of Transportation workers have died since 1993. And the CDOT spends almost $2 million a year maintaining this 24-mile piece of road. So, hats off to these guys. Now that guardrail on the $1 Million Highway is one of very, very few. The highway is unguarded because of snow removal. Since the day it was built, the $1 Million Highway has been considered one of the most dangerous roads in the world by many publications, as previously mentioned. Even putting it up against roads in India and other countries, the $1 Million Highway is always listed right up there with every other dangerous road in the world in the United States. For instance, here's a top 7 list, starting with U.S. Route 1 in Florida.
We got notified of a multiple car crash on the interstate. Once our investigators arrived at around the 394 mile marker, in fact, there was 2 cars, or a passenger van, a passenger car, and 2 tractor trailers that had been involved in a series of collisions. Where we're at now, we do know that we have 7 confirmed fatalities, and we had approximately 6 to 8 people from this crash taken to local area hospitals.
Right after that, you've got Interstate 10 in Arizona.
The most treacherous stretch of highway in the state is right here in the valley.
The 3-mile stretch near where I-10, Loop 202, and State Route 51 come together saw the most crashes in 2020.
Interstate 15, Nevada.
Now to a developing story. 4 people are dead after a wrong-way crash on the 15 near Sloan.
Nevada State Police say 6 cars total involved. You're taking a live look at the scene right now, which just reopened a couple hours ago.
We have 13 Actions reporter Alyssa Bethencourt live from the scene with some new information. Alyssa, good morning.
The Dalton Highway in Alaska. And I'll just say one thing about the Dalton Highway: ice road truckers. Interstate 45 Houston.
Dangerous and deadly. We're talking about a highway you and your family likely drive on every day.
One of the world's most dangerous freeways runs right through Houston. Marcelina Benito has more on which parts of I-45 you need to be extra cautious driving on. We are all ears, Marcelino.
And State Route 99 in California.
This navigator was traveling northbound 99 in the slow lane, number 3 lane, and another vehicle attempted to pass a line of cars from the 3 lane, moved over to the 2 lane, for some reason lost control, almost hit the center divide, but ended up over-correcting and spun out in front of this individual, which caused him to take evasive action. He came up on the embankment here, which causes the vehicle to flip over.
So yes, the $1 Million Highway is dangerous. Is it the most dangerous road in the world? Well, I'm not qualified to answer that because I haven't driven every road in the world. But I have driven the $1 Million Highway dozens of times in several different vehicles and have always made it home unscathed. It's not hard to do. Simply follow the speed limits, pay attention, and if you want to look at one of the many historic mines on the side of the road, pull over and pull out your camera. But do yourself a favor. Don't tailgate. Too many people on this road tend to stack up right behind each other, and if something goes wrong, you've got a pile up. Or worse, you've got somebody going over the side, because there are no guardrails, and the drop-offs are very real. Again, the hairpins are absolutely every place. You'll see motorcycles, you'll see vehicles of all types on this road. This is a road for adventurers, and it's an amazing road. The alpine forests are absolutely spectacular. Things you won't see anyplace else except at altitude. The iron ore is so prevalent that it turns the mountain ranges red, and it's just phenomenal. It's a photographer's dream come true. You can't beat this with a stick. Now, the best part about the $1 Million Highway is after you've left the town of OURAY, it brings you out to Silverton. Silverton is phenomenal. Now, I simply fell in love with this town. I love OURAY. I've been to OURAY a dozen times, and I've been to Silverton probably 4 or 5 times, and I prefer Silverton. It's a beautiful town. It's a town where you can walk through there and literally still hear a blacksmith pounding out a sword or a knife or a piece of cutlery on an anvil for real. That's a thing. And you can actually pay to go there and learn how to make a sword yourself. Keep that in mind. Links will be below. Silverton was a historic mining town established in 1874 in Baker's Park in the heart of the San Juan Mountains. After the Denver and Rio Grande Railway, now the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad, reached the town in 1882, the surrounding region experienced a mining boom that lasted until the 1910s. And after World War II, tourism took hold as people visited the town for its scenery and history. They named it a historic landmark in 1986, and Silverton now has a population of about 600 people and is the only town in San Juan County. How cool is that? Before white settlers started to arrive in the San Juan Mountains in the 1860s and 70s, the region was occupied by the Tabagauchi and Wee-Minishu Utes. In the 1700s, Spanish explorers and miners occasionally ventured north from New Mexico into the rugged San Juans, leaving behind some evidence of mining in a host of Spanish places named after Spanish places. Fur trappers and traders started to pass through the region in the early 19th century, with many of them, including mountain men and Army officer Kit Carton, claiming that the San Juans were full of gold and silver. Now, I had mentioned the fact that you could hear a blacksmith hammering out a sword or a knife, and I wasn't kidding. There's an actual up and operating blacksmith shop where you can actually take lessons and learn how to make an implement yourself, like these young ladies were.
There you go, like that. Just like that, yeah. Now you kind of get an idea how hard you have to hammer to make something happen. You're going to be hammering a little harder on the next teeth.
So after traversing one of the most dangerous roads in the world, you find yourself in the town of Silverton. And Silverton is like a time capsule. You expect to hear spurs scraping on boardwalks as you walk down the street. It's an amazing place with a very low population, and in the summertime, you'll find more motorcycles in Silverton than you'll find Jeeps in OURAY. There's a Harley-Davidson dealer there, and it's an amazing place. If you make your way to Handlebars Restaurant, the proprietor Ken will show you around, and it's amazing. It's like a museum, but it's actually a saloon. And the bar itself is just an amazing piece right here. Look, I mean, it's beautiful. And clearly he supports law enforcement, like everybody should. And I happened to notice the sheriff driving into town to go to work on his motorcycle, which was pretty cool. But it's a great place. It's a great setup. It's well worth the risk of taking the most dangerous road in the world, as they say. If you've never been to this part of the country, it's absolutely worth your time. The thrill of driving the road itself, the grandeur of the scenery that's all around you is absolutely amazing. I can't highly recommend this place enough. The town of OURAY is phenomenal, the town of Silverton is amazing, and the road in between is one of the most dangerous roads in the world. And if you've made your way down it, you can take that off your bucket list. At any rate, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below, and I will try to return the favor. I am out.